Welcome back to my channel. I'm Yanigi and in today's video I am telling you my first impressions of InZOI. Let's start off with some clarifications. You can actually move objects more freely than I thought. You can scale them too, and my mango is able to touch the ground. AI generating textures. I was thinking of trying it again, but I think I will pass on anything AI generating. The first theory I've read somewhere is that it's something with GPU, and it turns out it's actually right. Since apparently the AI features are just for Nvidia, I hope you can turn them off so they don't bloat my screen with things you can't do. In short, they showed SmartZOI requirements, and it turns out Nvidia is gatekeeping it and probably got into a partnership with Krafton. That's for the better. And I'm testing first mods here. Maps remind me very much of Paradox games, and in context of a life simulator I'm unsure about that. From the one angle it adds to the roleplay aspect and the story, but also the Earth is not flat. It looks a bit like a fancy version of the Sims 2 HUD with CC, or maybe even Sims 4. By the way, with 4K resolution the text is maybe a bit too small. I can read it, but proportions are not there. Moving around UI elements is really neat, but it's not a must-have function though. I was scared for a moment you have only 4 skills depending on aspiration, but it just displays the relevant ones at the moment. Autosave makes my game freeze for a second. I want to say that I'm unsure what to think about the graphic style. Like, for me, it's really far from Uncanny Valley. It's cute, but would I say realistic? I don't think it's that much. Maybe in live mode is what I imagined Live by You to be with mods incoming. In my opinion, they watered it down a little to let more people into the game, and it's a good thing since live simulators are an infinite game like I call it. And their performance is... and good performance of this game is really a must-have. I forgot how great of an idea is Sims 4 Gallery. Just an idea as a person who had been buying just EPs until Discover University and maybe like 2-3 game packs, and was getting half empty houses because every lot there used every pack released. And I play mostly 3 and 2, and there you have to get your houses from multiple sources and download hundreds of links, and some of which are not active anymore. When switching between ZOIs, the constant loading screens can get annoying. And I was worried that as a person unable to use SmartZOIs, I will be bombarded with that on screen, but thankfully default option doesn't shove it in my face, and I have just autonomy. I'm used to moving my camera with WASD and it kinda confuses me. Camera work is different. I'm used to Sims controls where I use the keyboard to move it around. In InZOI you do most of it with a mouse. I hope they will give us more key bindings. I'm not sold on towns. Primates, especially those from Bliss Bay, have some lore potential, but relations between them start from zero. And it's just 6 families living in houses around town. Dawn and Bliss Bay are surprisingly small. The world is said to be open, but loading screens happen often when traveling long distance. From a realistic game, I would expect more. I get it, that's probably a sacrifice to make game work better, and it has been confirmed by devs. But Sims 3 could do it in 2009, then why not the other games? I know they are working on an ability to travel between the worlds, and I'm curious how it's gonna work. I hope you won't have to enable all of them at once. Maybe I'm just spoiled from playing other games with amazing city designs, even if I know in a life simulator it would be a recipe for a disaster. On the other side, I think InZOI has great potential for a rotational gameplay. I have to admit, for a town this size, the park looks like more people live there. I like that the voice is all fictional, but everything else is not. I'm not a fan of fictional languages when I can't understand it. I wonder what's the mechanism behind the ZOI generation. I've noticed they share outfits, but what about face? Does it take from saved presets or it randomizes? I just hope there's no pudding faces or set number of faces. Two things confuse me about InZOI. It targets mostly players I would call creators, aka sitting in CAS and build by modes. From the same game, World Edition is handy but more restrictive than in 2 and 3. You can't create your own HUD from scratch, and I can't imagine doing Build a City challenge or medieval gameplay there. The other thing that confuses me is the line between ZOIverse and the real life. I mean, we have ZOIs, meows, which seem to be for people who like Sims 2 quirks, and the game being outside of the real world. But also they try to be realistic with cars and PCs, as I've seen. It's interesting that at once you can WASD and car drive, but there's also a society management aspect. Honestly, this game reminds me mostly of The Sims 2, but if it was released in 2025. Why? The game encourages the society management playstyle with the karma mechanism and statistics. The cities are small, 4-8 families could be playable. That's less than Pleasantville, for example. When I was walking around town, I didn't feel overwhelmed. They also plan or add traditional paid mechanism to the base game. It's a thing Sims 2 Beta was notorious for. And also cutscenes, since I remember people missing them in 3. Since I've been working on this video, they allow you to disable non-playable ZOIs from aging. I keep saying that I think rotational gameplay in InZOI makes so much sense. I don't know why, but this game is giving me a very chill vibe. There is not much drama going on. After playing for some time, I like that I feel no pressure to do anything. It's hard for me to explain that, but one of the reasons I don't play Sims 2 or 4 anymore is that in those games I feel pressure to follow a certain standards that don't suit my needs. And no, I'm not talking about gameplay style, but mostly about the aesthetic. I've noticed that sometimes the text messages have that Sims 4 quirk when I feel like the game is excited for me achieving stuff. It's hard to explain. I'm the serious 0 out of a 10 person and I'd prefer it to be toned down a little. So what I liked? Autonomy, as Zois can take care of their needs. They are way smarter than I expected, even without the Smart Zoi feature. I like they are able to take care of themselves really well. Sometimes they are even too smart, like when I tried burning them. Graphics. I actually think they are less realistic than people claim. And they look really good. In my opinion, at least. But I know they are polarizing. But yeah, in life simulation games, it's hard to make a graphic style that everybody likes, since everybody wants different things and plays with a different purpose. Quality of life in UI, as I think moving around elements is neat, but please let us save presets. Customability, so you can use any graphic on any object. Also no lags in live mode, but my config might be the reason for that. And it's not guaranteed that everybody will have the same output. English with the only zoinies that exist is in voices. I know people might disagree, but I really like that the objects use a real language that's readable. I don't mind gibberish voices, as the real ones would get annoying pretty quick. The morning in this game looks gorgeous. They've added more options since I've been working on this video, so I didn't have much time to look how does it work right now. And also attention to details, as the animations are quite detailed, like sitting in a car, taking stuff, repairing stuff, cooking, and etc. So the stuff that needs to be worked on. Food system. I like that it's more realistic and a one meal diet doesn't work like in The Sims. And they have to eat quite a lot to not starve. I dislike that you can't cook bigger portions unless it's a cake or pizza. It's annoying when you play with a bigger household since everybody has to cook for themselves and you have queues in the kitchen. Buying multiple fridges is a weird way to work in a household like that. Or the parents should wake up like 2 hours earlier to prepare a breakfast for them. And also I would like to have a bigger food selection with the ability to use ingredients as well, but I think that's work for later. Personality system. So I'm not fully sold on just one character trait. I like that we have it broke down into pieces. Likes and dislikes, values, lifestyle, aspiration. I see the potential of values being some kind of slider traits which everyone has. Likes and dislikes could be an introduction to talents. Some of these don't make sense for all age groups, but I guess the alternative would be that all in-game born would get the same set over and over. I feel like it lacks serious variety. It's not enough. I tried to look at the pre-made characters and they all lack soul. And when Zois do stuff they don't like, I didn't see much consequences for that. And also I'm worried they will overuse the AI in developing that part. NPCs even without Smart Zoi. During my gameplay, when trying to start a fire on the lowest safety, non-playable Zois called for the firefighters, and it puts the Sims to shame. And there's a lot of townies around town to fulfill the service tasks. It's in mid since the crazy part of gameplay is harder to achieve. And also I fucking hate the white highlight on selected objects / Zois. Please mod this ASAP or let us turn that off. And I dislike lack of ability to save the UI preset, so it resets on every new save. What I disliked, and it's a lot. First of all, heavy Nvidia bias. Smart Zoi can be used for now with just the Nvidia GPU, which means some of us kinda get an incomplete product. Even if I personally don't care for AI stuff. After watching a video made by one of InZOI testers influencers about playing InZOI on MacBooks and potatoes, I came to a conclusion there's a partnership with Nvidia to get more sales from the GeForce Now program, which apparently lets you play games for anything, but pay if you want to play more than an hour without ads.
A lot of chips into the Android market, and Nvidia has been the single worst company we've ever dealt with. So Nvidia, fuck you.
Tiny words, frequent loading screens. They are smaller than I expected. 6 families per hood that live at home. I didn't like the need of constant zooming in and out to find a playable lot, and I hope they will add a minimap for that. Graphical glitches. He caught a shark and that's how he walks with it. Inactive Zois are harder to remove from existence. Their motives probably don't decay, they will react to fire, car driving is not efficient, falling is dependent on karma, same with electrocution. Pop-ups. I get annoyed when it comes on top of anything I'm doing and I have to click it or wait for it to disappear. I hope they will do that, they won't stop you from playing. Townie spawns. After I removed all of the families and put others to have just my families, the game keeps generating new townies. Despite adding new families, the game was focused on newly generated townies instead of my Zois. Making Zois from different families meet each other is next to impossible. When I go visit them at home, their doors are locked and won't let us in, even if I knock on them. It's rare for them to be in public lots. Sometimes only the schedule can work. The elephant in the room, gender preferences. And you know what I'm talking about? All pre-made or generated Zois are automatically straight. To get a non-straight Zoi, you have to change them manually in CAS, which is one more click for you. and I don't think you can change that in game. I think in previous patches our characters had no preferences. What I want for it is basically a setting/game rule about non-playable sexuality. First option, no gender preferences, everyone can get with everyone. Random percentages. You set the percent of ZOIs per each sexuality. Random static, so minimum number of non-straight ZOIs. And all XYZ just selected gender preferences, but maybe don't give all straight option though, as it would be problematic. Difficulty. You can't delete inactive ZOIs in crazy ways. They know how to put a fire, they won't starve, and a car crash won't give a cutscene. Sometimes I feel like I'm playing Sims 4 or a stereotypical PG game with the "Hey, Carbalo, be a good Zoe so Psycat will be happy" pop-ups. And needs go up way too fast. My Zoes can't sleep all night. And romance. I hate the idea of a marriage, so I heavily dislike the difference between possible romantic interactions between official and unofficial relationships. There's less options for a second way. Kids only after marriage. At least create baby-making gameplay rules, like risky chance, try for baby chance. I want to have babies regardless of relationship level. Elders can get pregnant again, a setting will be good for that. Despite all of the flaws, I don't regret buying that game. You know, the price might go up once the final product is up. The gameplay is chiller than I expected it to be, and to be honest, I wish it was more chaotic. And remember, I'm that person who refuses to buy Sims 4 expansion packs because sees them as unworthy their price. I guess they are having an S-tier marketing that they convinced me to buy it so fast. I went back to play with Gel and it made me think that I like and dislike playing it at the same time. It gets boring after a while, but I'm still kinda invested in. I think it might be the type of game for me that I wish I liked more, but I still play it. When the gameplay idea is good for me, but it's boring and annoying. Like, it's gonna sound ridiculous, but Victoria free, for example. So that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed me spilling my thoughts on this game, and you can support me. And see you again next time in the next video. Bye. After playing with Gel for a while, I think it's the one feature that's fully finished. But I think it's not fully realistic. There should be some sort of eateries instead of vending machines. And time goes by very slowly in vanilla game. And there's not enough reasons to end up there. Cops do nothing productive.